Hello and welcome to another video on transitional justice with me, Ben.
And me, Rob.
In this video, we are going to highlight some of our favorite documentaries on transitional justice.
These films will cover a wide variety of the field. We'll give a brief overview of them, and we'll show you their connections to transitional justice.
So, our first documentary is Long Night's Journey into Day, which chronicles South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It follows a number of everyday people from South African soldiers who upheld apartheid to those who violently opposed it.
It uses real archival footage of the proceedings, which gives viewers a glimpse into day-to-day operations of truth commissions. The documentary stresses reconciliation, whether it is the commission giving pardons or perpetrators speaking to the victims of their acts. It also demonstrates the profound possibilities for healing presented by the reconciliation process, while also casting a cold light on its limits. Not everybody who's featured finds peace in the hearing room.
Or a pardon. Yeah, this is an extremely humanistic movie. I watched it personally after already knowing quite a bit about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, things that I had read and studied, but actually seeing it, on 90s VHS footage, just really imbues it with such a human presence. I cannot recommend this one enough personally. And this following clip is not featured in the documentary. This is some archival footage of the commission from another source, but we wanted to include it in the video so you have a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about.
Mr. Chairman, I think that is a very grave allegation. We, as Women's League, regret that very much. And we would request that we be given details of that information.
Our next documentary is Prosecuting Evil, which focuses on prosecutor Benjamin Ferencz at the Nuremberg trials. Ferencz, through reviewing documents in Berlin left behind by the Nazis, built a case against the roving task forces of the Holocaust.
So these task forces were mobile units as opposed to stationary concentration camps where the bulk of people were killed. And they were established specifically for the task of killing Jews, European Romas, communist functionaries, and Soviet intellectuals, according to the U.S. Holocaust Museum. Ferencz built the case, and it actually led to the conviction of over 20 Nazi officials for the deaths of over 1 million people.
Yeah, Ferencz cannot be commended enough for his work here. It's really difficult to overstate what an astonishing development the Holocaust was and what a profound challenge it posed to the legal system. How do you prosecute horror on such an enormous scale? And Ferencz really set about doing the meticulous work. And he put together a case that he could try these people just like any other criminals. And his legacy speaks for itself, and the legal system thanks him for it. After Nuremberg, Ferencz later fought for reparations for victims and survivors of the Holocaust. And as the longest surviving prosecutor from the Nuremberg trials, Ferencz spent the ensuing decades fighting for peace, genocide prevention, and the rule of law. Ferencz would live to the ripe old age of 103, passing away recently in 2023. Now, here he is in C-SPAN's oral history of his life, discussing preparing for his trial.
There was nothing. So how did you make up these things? I mean, what?
Well, we had to improvise as we went along. We didn't have a regular courtroom where you could call in a witness and examine him with a secretary present and someone else cross-examining or securing his rights. If we were taking testimony from friendly witnesses, we'd take an affidavit from them. They'd swear to it before an officer. If it was from a hostile witness, we would interrogate him privately in order to see if we could ascertain the truth. And when we reached a point where we felt we had ascertained the truth, we asked him to write it out in his own hand.
Our next documentary is a unique one, to say the least. The act of killing focuses on a film crew in Indonesia who locate people who participated in the Indonesian mass killings in the mid 1960s. The chilling aspect of this documentary, though, is how the film crew went about interacting with these people and how they went about portraying the actions that they committed.
Yeah, so the filmmakers convinced the participants to reenact their killings and filmed them as they spoke about these killings in an eerily nonchalant manner. These guys who slaughtered hundreds of innocent people were showered with power and respect from the local villagers, showing the immense power of propaganda.
Eventually, it all becomes too real. The perpetrators take this film crew around to areas where they actually did the killing. They show them how they did it. There's one really horrible scene where a guy shows how he could behead people very easily. Uh, and eventually it becomes so real that one guy, the main person, Anwar Congo, does break down, seemingly after decades, acknowledging the weight of his actions, as now a much older man. I highly recommend this documentary. We will say it is grotesque, it is disturbing, but the premise is so unique that it is a must watch. Now, our final film is not a documentary per se, but it is one of my personal favorites.
Now, I haven't seen this one, so if it sucks, that's on Rob, but he tends to have pretty good taste. Judgment at Nuremberg is a dramatization following an American judge presiding over a trial of Nazi judges. Its importance lies in the philosophical debates that occur throughout the trial, from questions of law to morality to guilt, as well as conflicting feelings of holding trials at all in the aftermath of the Holocaust.
Yeah, and that last point is something that we will discuss in a later video. I can't recommend this film enough. It's 3 hours well spent and was recommended to me by a good friend of mine. I also want to clarify, we've talked about earlier about Ben Ferencz and the trial for the roving task force, and now we're talking about the trial for Nazi judges. The Nuremberg trials were actually about a dozen separate trials focusing on different aspects of the Nazi regime. So while both of these documentaries cover Nuremberg, they cover different aspects of the Nazi regime. And this one actually focuses a lot on forced sterilization as a crime that judges ordered during the regime. So it looks at it and from a slightly different viewpoint. And to give you a sense of what Nuremberg was like, here is my personal favorite clip of Justice Robert Jackson's opening statement from the Nuremberg trials, courtesy of the Robert Jackson Center.
That four great nations, flushed with victory and stung with injury, stay the hand of vengeance and voluntarily submit their captive enemies to the judgment of the law is one of the most significant tributes that power has ever paid to reason.
And if you would like a recommendation for a film that is neither a documentary nor about transitional justice, I recently watched The Royal Tenenbaums and quite enjoyed it.